The kids are almost in bed. The adult beverages are certainly poured. It is time for New Dad Gaming, a show about fatherhood, gaming, and new fathers trying to figure out their gaming lives. My name is Trevor, and I have a much awake 6-month-old.
My name is Gavin. I have I'm not going to rub it in, 4-month-old.
Yeah, super sleeper 4-month-old.
My name is Jeff. I got 2 asleep, 5, and a 2-year-old. 2.5.
It's just like the level of battle. Like it's not just a matter of like everybody's suffered with a case where they can't fall asleep, or even something like where maybe they don't want to, but like the effort that he puts in to stay awake. Like he's falling asleep, and then just at the last moment, he kicks and just like no, no, not yet, and just like he's fighting. Like you need to sleep, you probably want to sleep.
Yeah.
Why aren't you sleeping? And just like how much effort goes into not sleeping is astounding. And it's just, and that's what we're working against. Is just it's not even just the not sleeping; it's the willful not sleeping. And you're looking at him like, what is it's 4 in the morning? Like, what is this?
What is
your
life?
Deal?
Yeah, what is life?
What's the meaning of like, man? You get into some weird places like at 4 in the morning when your baby's not sleeping. Like, your mind goes
I bet.
off. It is trying to just maintain some shred of sanity when this kid is not doing it. Like, I'm going into like I'm trying to find out. I'm trying to reason why he would be like this from an evolutionary standpoint. It's like, well, I guess the animals are sleeping, and if he wakes me up like a natural alarm clock, I can better feed him by hunting. Yeah, that's cool. Baby, go to bed. Baby, go to bed.
I think that would end up with a lot of people going out into the wilderness trying to hunt and then failing because they're so tired. You just fall asleep in a river trying to catch a fish or something.
It's like prehistoric couple arguments because it's okay. You stay with him. I'm gonna go hunt, and really he just goes off to like the next couple trees and takes a nap,
standing up against it, just
leaning on his spear and just like. No,
It'll come.
Yeah, and there's little rays of hope, and there's usually like a decent 4 or 5 hour one at the beginning. He was sick recently too, which that's not his own fault. So his nose is plugged up. It wasn't going well. But man, it is. That's why they were chuckling and laughing the other night. Where the prospect of having another one. We're looking at this one. It's like, whew.
Yeah.
Man, that's like once you get past this, like, it's like when a POW escapes. Like, does he think about going back at any point?
You're still young though, right? It's still like an 8. Would you say 8 months? Is that what you're at?
6.
6
months.
So yeah, that's why people wait a couple years because they forget. Like, what was it like? Oh, I love the cuddly baby. Let's do it again. And then they get another one. They're like, oh God.
That was literally my thought. Is there has to be enough time for the pain to have dulled,
Yeah.
and then for him to be old enough where you're like, aw, I wish you were tiny. I know. Let's do it all over again.
Yeah.
Why did I do this?
Friends of ours just had twins, and they just got like one foul swoop, just boom, done. Like, yep, we got one of each. We're happy. We're done. Of course, they're not sleeping at all. But,
Yeah, I think we bring this up every week, but like I still think like that one-time pain, I'd still almost have preferred it. Like I know how much worse it would be, so much worse. It would never minimize that. But the thought that after the 8 months or the year, that's it. You don't got to go back to that baby world. I mean, there's something to that.
I still think you should do maybe just a short podcast at 4 a.m. with your deep thoughts about life.
Yeah.
And just get that out there.
Yep.
And then play them back when you're going to have another kid, or at least want to think about doing it, and be like, what were those days like? Oh, yes, the 4 a.m. running around the house like a butterfly kind of thing.
Yeah, make like a time capsule warning to future self.
Yeah, like it goes, your head is in a bad place that late at night. But, so quick opinion, guys. I showed you both the video of the baby proof simulator, Who's Your Daddy? Thoughts,
Crazy.
gentlemen? For those unaware, I highly suggest you watch the trailers, and that's again Baby Proof Simulator, Who's Your Daddy? It is a two-player multiplayer game where a one person takes the role of the hapless father, as it's proposed, and the baby. The player as the baby is trying to kill themselves. So they are, from the baby's perspective, crawling around the house. There are such methods as eating garbage. There is falling down the stairs. There is turning on the oven and going into the oven. Meanwhile, the father player is running around desperately trying to like turn switches and move the baby to safe places, hide the Windex so they can't eat. It is.
It's
There's a.
horrible. It's a horrible game. Why would
It's,
you ever?
I just saw the first clip that sold me on it was it's like the baby's crawling up to the oven, and he looks up and reaches and just turns it all the way up, and then just slowly crawls into the oven. And it's like, yes, that baby would totally do that if it was possible.
I'm
I,
telling you. Well, it sounds like there's a lot of room for improvement too, right? Like the difficulty setting you could introduce another kid, right? A different age. So you have the toddler, you have the baby, and then maybe a teenager running around. And maybe, the dad gets like, maybe there's like perks, right? And then like detriments to the dad. So like his back hurts, so he only moves like half speed. And the baby drank some Coke, so he gets to move faster or something. I
oh
don't
yeah.
know.
Or the dad's like getting angry, and you're not allowed to get too angry.
Oh,
So
yeah,
you
there
can
you
drink a
go.
beer to lower the anger, but
You
now you lumber a little bit. It's not quite as easy.
Time of day, maybe it's 4 a.m.
You're just hallucinating. You think it's a baby, but it's really just a bag on the floor.
Just like cradling the cat. Baby's the other side.
Yeah. Your eyes have been gouged out by the cat. Lose half vision.
I think we
Oh,
can
this.
finish this game. I think it's a
Yeah, I got to pitch some ideas. I will say, I really do think if we ever put together our game streaming, our live stream of a game together, like that will definitely have to be on the docket. I would love to see how some of you would act as a baby.
Oh, that'd be easy. I'd go straight for that Windex. So colorful.
It looks like Kool-Aid. It's like, man, it's messed up that there is. You could literally take a Kool-Aid, a Windex, and like there's this weird blueberry drink that I saw the other day too. Like just put them into glasses side by side, and you'd have no idea
No, no
which one
clue.
is which. Like it.
Except for the one that stinks.
I don't know. I don't know. Put some Gatorade. I don't know if you'd notice that much.
I do want to know who's playing that game though. Like, is it actually parents? Is it dads that are playing this game that play a dad all day and then they
Yeah, no,
play
but
a
like
dad online?
be like a postal worker coming home and being like, you know, Mail Carrier Simulator 5000. Like,
It's like finally. See,
finally.
I could see it as I could see doing it as a release because especially after a 4 a.m. session where it's just like I'm a baby, meh, meh. I'm gonna jump in an on oven because I'm a moron. Meh, meh. Just like
You're just venting on your kid via a video game.
exactly, it's perfect. It's instead of just like shooting raiders, it's much more specific to like I'm a dumb baby. Look at the stairs. Derp, 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 derp.
I think you're sold. I think that's it. You're gonna
Yeah,
play this.
they
Let
built
us
this game.
know.
Yeah.
I think largely though, I've heard some cynics kind of mention that a lot of games seem to be built for YouTubers. And something like a little bit like your Slenderman, although that one kind of came out before it, but there was a million copies of that. There was the other ones that kind of lean on easy jump scares, and the main thrust behind the development that hopefully some of the popular YouTube streamers would jump on it because they could, do kind of an overacting reaction to something when it jumps out, and then like, haha, look at this guy's super scared, and then accordingly, hopefully sell some copies. I would say that there's a decent chance. It's probably built by a dad at 4 a.m. Like 4 a.m. and was just angry at his baby. Otherwise, it could be perhaps it's a bit of YouTube fodder, but I
To
don't.
me, it
It's
looks
just
like
kind
a
of funny.
fan game.
That
Like
could
it
be
looks
it.
like a game that was made like at a game jam session on a weekend kind of deal. Not to say that it only looks like a weekend's worth of work. Like those jams, a lot of work gets done in a weekend. but it has that sort of like goofy idea that a small team thought of quickly, and they're like, let's just do it. And they just did it, and that was it.
Yeah.
And then maybe spend some time after the jam, adding more stuff into it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
and to clarify, like I'm definitely positive on it. I think it's hilarious. Like that's some of the funniest stuff I've seen in a long time.
it's a really clever mechanic to basically one it's like a defense game, but instead of defending against a threat, you're defending against a self-inflicted threat on the other player. And I like that sort of thing. It's like the other players purposefully trying to injure themselves, and you're trying to not let that happen. And I think that's a neat sort of asymmetrical gameplay mechanic that's pretty cool. Um, and then also when you just add in the fact that babies are at times somewhat self-destructive naturally, it's like,
Somewhat.
baby, why'd you do that? No, don't, no.
Yeah, see, and that's what's kind of funny. Like I don't know if it just happened or like that was part of the real. They chose a mechanic where one's trying to end a life, the other one's trying to save it, and that's interesting. But like the fact of how, yeah, absolutely true to life that is. That ultimately the babies seem to try very hard to hurt themselves, and as a parent, you're just running around like, oh no, oh no, don't over there, oh no, not over there, please no. Like a lot of it's just running around. So what a interestingly perfect matchup from game mechanic to real life.
I kind of see it paired with like Octodad, like that game mechanic where you had to move each hand kind of individually as a control, so you can't quite get them in time, and you're stumbling over tables and chairs and knocking over stuff. That would be funny too, just to
Or
Yeah.
even like with Surgeon Simulator, where
yeah.
you're trying to save a life, but the mechanics are trying to prevent it from being saved. So rather than battling like an opponent, you're just battling broken physics.
Yeah.
Uh,
And that was
uh,
made in like a game jam kind of place
yeah,
too, right? They polished it
yeah,
up after. That was really
yeah.
neat. I could not save anybody. I was horrible at that game.
No,
Never once saved.
I never. I would take out a lung trying to fix an arm or something.
yep. I think
Yeah.
one time I accidentally stabbed myself with anesthetic.
Oh yeah, and it gets all
And the
hazy and stuff.
scream,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah.
like, oh. I had to stop. I had to quit the game. I couldn't play it anymore. I was gonna get sick because it never wears off. It's like that permanently. You're just like, oh
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. So I kind of give a bit of a hint to how my fatherhood week went, but let's go around rest of the room. Gavin, how was your week in fatherhood and gaming?
Fatherhood, pretty good. Some good hangouts. We put up the tree. Did most of the. I can kind of see it behind me. Um, did most of the decorating after she had gone to bed. So when we got up in the morning, we turned all the lights on the tree and stuff to get her reaction. And she had this like big like wide eye like what is that thing look on her face. So that was pretty cute. Yeah, uh, doctor's appointment on Monday, stuff like that. All in all, going pretty good. She's moving and grooving and making all sorts of noises. We had a bath tonight. She's not the most fond of baths. She likes the bath, but she doesn't like after where she's like cold and wet in a
Yeah.
towel. So we have to like get her dried and warm and dry as quick as possible, or else she just goes nuts. And of course, when she goes nuts, the dog decides he wants to howl because he needs to be included in everything, and that includes making noise. So it can make for a somewhat noisy evening. Um, but she's clean and she's dry and she's warm now, so all's well. And as far as gaming goes, I took a break from just cause of the load times.
Oh,
Oh, yeah,
I heard about
Oh
that.
no, just let that sit for a while. I want you to think about what you just
everything.
said.
Dad jokes.
I got a card. I'm not allowed. Um, no, that's the thing is like, and actually, it's probably a good topic to quickly touch on is when you have like, you know, 30 minutes to an hour to squeeze in a little bit of gaming while somebody's down for a nap, uh, and when 60% of that time is loading,
Oh,
It
That,
doesn't. I mean,
whoa, that bad?
it's
I heard
pretty
it can
rough.
get bad, yeah.
It can be, and like their previous titles were good. As far as load times, like standard open world stuff, where you're like, yeah, it's an open world. It's gonna take a while to load. Just be patient. But even in this, like the load times between, like if you fail at a mission or you die, to reload the mission was equivalent to the initial load of the game world. So it
Wow.
was like every time you would have to restart a mission, it was like that first boot up the game load, as opposed to just reloading a save. And I found that it was just, especially too when I'm still getting used to the mechanics, they're a little bit different than before, and I'm sure I'll grow to love them. But that learning curve also includes me smashing into clip sides and being shot to death. When that happens frequently while I'm learning, and then that's penalty with a 5 minute load time, and it
Oh,
eats
brutal.
away,
Yeah.
it's like it's just too rough. So it's been placed gently on the shelf until they patch it. I've got some faith that they'll patch it. I hope they patch it, because it's a fun game. It's a really fun game
I was
when
gonna
I
say,
get to
I
play it.
mean, seeing some of the clips, like it, like I've been adamant that I don't need to buy this one because I've definitely bought like kind of I've got my budget, so it's like no more for a little while. So I'm gonna wait until that one drops down. But man, seeing some of the clips online, like that thing looks just the freedom and some of the things that people are pulling off, like that looks like a riot, like an
Oh,
absolute blast.
it's really really fun. Like I'm so excited to get to play it, but I'm gonna give it a break until the dust settles. I think they rushed to meet the Christmas release,
Hmm.
because the holiday season, that's everybody's buying games. I think realistically, the development cycle, they probably were better suited for like a February March release. Because the game's really close. I think it's just some uh, like memory cleaning issues that are happening that are causing long load times. So those will get resolved. There's no like game breaking bugs for at least on the PS4. It's strictly just like it just takes a really long time to load. It plays great on the PS4. There's no stuttering. It's running at 1080p. It runs really smooth. Not too many frame rate dips. But yeah, just load times are way too long for me when I've only got so much time to play. So I've been back at Fallout for a bit. I haven't started up Wolfenstein or what's that? The Order. I might boot those up later, but right now, Fallout's doing the trick. So, and it's been work's been super busy. I had a rush job, and it was as it would sound. It was a rush job, and I'm happy with how it turned out. The work I submitted to the project looks nice, so I'm really happy about that. There's like with any project, there's always just, especially rush projects, you're always like, let's just okay, yeah, all right, let's just get it done. Let's go, go, go. So it's that nervousness of making sure you get the deadline. And then some other projects have just they've been going well, but it's just a lot of work, so not much game time. I want to spend time with family and get my work done. And unfortunately, the controller took a back seat a little bit this week, but you know, now that dust is settled on the rush job, I might be able to get back to some leisure time.
That's a good place to be. Better busy than bored, they say.
Exactly.
The so Jeff, yourself, how was your week in fatherhood and gaming?
Not bad. I
Good,
have
thanks.
a
So
yeah,
Gavin, with the
done.
no,
So
yeah, sorry.
I
Problem is,
can just listen. I
I can
can
only
just
pull
listen.
that joke once too. I don't know if I've misfired. Like every week, same joke.
That's
Sorry, boy.
it.
How was your
No.
week in gaming and fatherhood?
It was bad. No, it was good. I had a company Christmas party, so the kids went to that, and it was pretty awesome. They were always happy to see Santa, and they get
Nice.
like little presents. But the the funniest part is they bring like fire trucks out. So they have vehicles. So they have a snowplow, a fire truck, like the actual ones, and the kids can go around, go in it, and a big bus or whatever. And on the fire truck, my 5-year-old decided to talk the ear off of the firefighter. So we were out there for 40 minutes with questions like, "What's your biggest hose? What's your smallest hose? Do you have any hidden hoses? Where does they hook up? Where's the water come from? Why does the water come in that way? Where's another? Do you have an axe? Is there an axe in there? Do you use the axe? Will you come to my house if it burns? What's your name?"
Wow.
So that kind of like, you know, the guy deserves a promotion for dealing with all these
That's amazing.
questions that,
Will you come to my house if it burns?
yeah.
What's your name?
Can I call you personally? There's a fire. If I start a fire.
Yeah, the firefighter looks around. It's like, no, I'm not gonna come. You're gonna burn.
This is it. You're asking me too many questions. And it's always why. Like, why? Why is that? Why do you do it like that? Same with like they showed in the Jaws of Life. Like, why? Why would you have to cut a car? I don't get it. And you can't really go too into reality for them. Like, oh no, someone's hurt in a car and you can't. Yeah, they're bleeding out. No, the car is crushed. Then you might have to snip through it. So they did a good job. It was fun. Oh, we seem to have lost Gavin, but we'll continue. Show must go on.
Right? I
Oh,
can see
there you
him.
go. Oh, just for me then.
Can you see him? I don't know if I can.
No, I
Gavin,
can see
speak.
now.
Hi.
Oh, there you go.
I think it's just his smooth jazz voice.
Just
Might have to might need to pipe up a little bit there, Gavin. They're risking your baby.
Yeah, I'm
uh,
not waking baby.
Yeah, that's all just a ruse. I want you to wake up your baby so you can experience my pain.
Abby, can you scream into the mic? We'll try that.
Can
See
you
if that picks up.
do you have a symbol? Like let's symbol it up. It's an old audio trick.
Yeah.
As for gaming, still on The Witcher 3, and I was following. I think they're announcing new DLC for that next year. They said they're going to support it for the next 2 years with DLC, so I think I got my work cut out ahead of me. And then I saw, and possibly will download Final Fantasy VII again on PS4 because it comes with a theme that I want, and there's a sale on now because they're pushing the remaster of Final Fantasy VII, which will probably be the third or fourth time.
Wait, so actually, I had a question on that for you. So you bought it for iOS, right?
iOS, Steam, original, and now possibly PS4.
We'll cover that in a second. I want to quickly jump. For the iOS one, I think it was a coverage of the PS4 version where you could just turn off encounters
Yes,
and then speed it up. Does that exist on the iOS, or is iOS just easy mode?
iOS has no encounters and then like God mode basically. I think
Ooh.
it's like you can't die or something. But
Man, I rethought about it, and the thought of going just through the game and experiencing it and not worrying.
worrying about
One of my biggest weights about thinking about doing it again was just the grind, because I remember sitting outside of any of the cities and just like running in circles to get encounters to level up, and just the thought of like doing that stuff again
yeah.
killed me. But man, I read a bit more into the easy mode and the no encounter mode, and the thought of just burning through and just enjoying the story and taking that in again for a second time actually really enticed me.
Yeah.
I was thinking of picking up the iOS version, although I think it's like $16.
Yeah, wait for a sale. I think I got it almost like $4 cheaper or something. So a little bit more easy to take.
Yeah.
But the PS4 version adds a couple new cheats into it. I think you can have like instant limit breaks and stuff like that. So you can get into battles and then just kill everything to get the experience and then continue on, right? And speed as well. But yeah, the no encounters thing has helped out on the iOS version. If you need to get to, you can always save it like anywhere, so you don't have to necessarily get to a save point. But it helps like if you just want to get through a cave or something, and you know the way, but either your memories failed you or you're running into too many battles. So it does come in handy. But yes, it will be like the fourth time I've bought this game because of my memories.
Nostalgia is a very powerful tool.
Totally is
Like,
expensive.
such a powerful marketing tool.
Yeah.
So now
That's how Michael Bay is still, big.
Oh, shots fired.
poor guy. Poor Bay.
Poor guy.
Yeah, kidding. I try not to be too negative because it's easy enough to just bring things down, but Transformers 4 was without rhetoric, people throw things around a lot, and I legitimately think through a lot of the movies I've seen, like I think no, not Transformers 4 was the worst movie I've seen. Like I was just so like, there's no weight to it. Like I don't know why. What are you doing now? And now you have to go here. And not a matter of like I couldn't follow it. Like I got the bits, but it's just like these guys are here to rectify some great robotic wrong that's happened in the universe, and you're just gonna say it once and hope that takes. And now I'm invested in that. Like
Yeah.
remember that a car drop kicked an agent. like remember like the guy's so good at driving, he's able to aim the car's tire at his face, and it drop kicked him. And it's just like I know that was supposed to be cool, but that's silly. Like, and these games, it's supposed to be. I mean, we're talking about like cars that turn into talking robots for God's sakes, and yet somehow having this car, which isn't a transformer, drop kick a guy's face was just like, all right, that's stupid.
That's your the full suspension of your disbelief. That's when it snaps. You're just like, yep,
It's
that's it.
pretty early on too, and it's just like, oh no, that
Yeah,
was the
you
thing. You were
ruined Transformers, ruined it.
oh, just I did you a favor. It's
Well,
there's
no,
no benefit to it. Although, man, it made tons of money. If I can produce something that an unknown father can go into a podcast and rant saying it's the worst thing he's ever seen, and it pulls 300 million across the world, I'd be doing just fine.
it's all the fancy explosions. It's
Yeah.
like it's the adult equivalent of jingling keys. Like it just there's no narrative substance to it. It's just kind of set piece, hot glued to set piece, hot glued to set piece.
Man,
Um,
but that's like the expense.
People like that. They just it's opiate for the masses. Just turn your brain off and watch the pretty explosions.
That's kind of okay. I will say, like I've heard, and unfortunately I can't. I hope maybe one of you guys can verify, but like with the Expendables.
Oh yeah.
See, I've heard that like
You
it's
going there?
no, like I've heard that it is dumb. It is explosions, but like it's so shallow in its purpose. Like it's like we're here to blow stuff up.
Yeah,
Here you
yeah,
go.
Yeah,
yeah. First
And
it's
like
one's
not
good.
it's not self-important. I think
Yeah.
that's the problem with the Transformers movies is they have this sort of like we're really like fate of the world important, and it's like with something like the Expendables, they're like just yeah, I'm gonna e-brake a smart car off of a roof. This is the same reason that with the Fast and the Furious movies, they are successful despite their ludicrous nature. Um, yes, I did that. Um,
Wow.
yeah,
Two dad jokes in one episode.
they because they don't take themselves too seriously, and they're never like we are the only thing standing between humanity and extinction. They're just like, yeah, we want to do this thing, and we gotta get revenge on these people or steal this thing or do whatever. Like it's pretty basic motivations for the characters. Is they never have the weight of humanity on their shoulders. So because of that, it's kind of tongue in cheek and it's taken lightly, which I think allows the audience to digest the crazy shenanigans that ensue. I think that's why a game like Just Cause is successful, is because the plot is so just you know yeah, you're gonna overthrow a dictator. Okay, but at the end of the day, it's all just explosions. So
Yeah.
that's how
indeed.
we're able to take that on. Whereas if the same sort of crazy stunt explosions happened on something like Fallout with their storytelling and it being a little bit more serious at times, it would feel disjointed and the juxtaposition would be so strong it would actually break. Um, so yeah, I think it's a balance thing, you know. And some people get it, and some people make $300 million, you know. Just how it goes.
Reaching for something here.
He's getting a copy of Transformers. That's
No,
what
look
he's
at
doing.
this.
Oh. Oh, you still have it, eh?
Yeah, so on video is my original PlayStation copy of Final Fantasy VII. 3 beautiful discs. And I hope I still have the discs. That'd be a riot. One.
You should.
Yeah, I got all of them.
Okay, good.
That's
Man.
impressive.
Remember when I did this too? Like it was, geez, was it ever something to actually be able to find it and play through it? But so Jeff, you have played. I assume you had this PlayStation version
Yeah,
at some point.
not the greatest hits version though. That wasn't cheap.
Son of a bitch. Hey, I was saving up for my kid at this point.
Oh, there you
Like
go.
one
There you
day
go.
I'm gonna have a
Same.
son.
Yes.
What? You bastards. So the so you had that version. You've now bought three additional versions, four?
Three additional ones if I pull the trigger on the PS4 here. So
Three
let's see.
additional.
So
Okay.
yeah, PS1, iOS, Steam, and PS4 inbound.
Okay. And then you will clearly buy the remake when it comes
Oh
out.
God, yes.
So it comes time to sit your son down, and after you get done telling him about the birds and the bees, you then have to tell him about the
Sephiroth.
clouds and the aeriths. What would you have him play? What version of all of your Final Fantasies would you have your kid play for the first time?
I guess it would, well, depend on technology at that time, but if I could make him play,
Let's assume for the purpose of this hypothetical, let's say today. Today he's
okay.
old enough. Today is the day he graduates to talk about Final Fantasy VII.
If I had a PS1 still, I would make him play that one.
Bold. All the load times, all
All
the
the load
bad
times,
graphics.
you gotta experience it. I love the bad graphics. When, in the HD one, just quickly,
You mean like the Popeye like arms and everything on?
yeah, I think that was part of its weird, quirky charm. But with the HD remaster of PS4 and even Steam, you have like these super, like they redid the polygon characters, so you have these super sharp characters against like almost 256-bit artwork
Yeah,
backgrounds, that you're wandering through. So it's like
there was like this sort
weird.
of for lack of a better term, like a Vaseline on the camera lens effect with the lower resolution output of the older consoles. And because of that, it would almost add like a filter that would tie everything in together. Where
Yeah,
now, when you have such high fidelity on the polygons, but such low fidelity on the background art, um, it becomes disjointed.
yeah,
And you end up seeing like, oh, that's such a crisp line.
yeah.
But then like the line on the texture behind it is like, you know, 32-bit. So what's going on? Why is it? It's like two different great games jammed into one. Where before
Yeah.
you would get the aliasing happening on the polygon, and that would almost be the same pixel size as the background resolution, and everything felt unified because of it.
Yeah.
So
No,
I could see the appeal.
I'm good for the old graphics. Like that's why I won't buy Final Fantasy VI on iOS because they redid all the sprites and it looks horrible. You need the old school stuff. So if he's gonna play anything, old school stuff. If he can stand it, he won't be able to stand it. There's no way he's gonna run around gain levels for 42 hours and beat this game.
Not just like it, and it's not like Skyrim or Fallout 40 hours where
No,
that's time just like exploring. Like that's wonderful.
no.
Like that's 40. That's work,
It's grinding.
man.
Yeah, it's
The
work. It's hard work.
old fashioned grind like
You
that.
can have it lazy.
Like you gotta
It's like
level up this.
factory work.
It's just a boat, man. Because it's just like it's. Geez, I remember there was guys that I knew that like would rubber band the controller on the one side, so it kept doing circles, and then they'd have like a turbo one, so they could just press like the A, so it's always going, so that it would just battle, and he just leave it running for the day so that he can level up. Because
Jeez.
that's what it needed. You needed like probably to do decently at the. I don't know if I'd be curious to see what it's like to beat it, and I sometimes wonder if that was just me lowering my challenge. So for the bosses, like it was just a pretty relatively easy to go past. Like I wonder if I didn't level at all, like that would just require more finesse in how I was fighting.
I don't know. It's not really, well, there's some strategy to it, but really it's about hit points sometimes, right? So you'd have to have some levels.
Yeah, a lot of these games is just like a battle of numbers, and if your character's hit points aren't enough to go toe to toe with the boss, then nope, you're not going toe to toe with the boss.
Yeah, I just wonder, like, yeah, I'm trying to think about any modern gamers. I mean, maybe it's not giving them enough credit. I mean, this is the people who came up on Minecraft and World of Warcraft, World of Warcraft would be a good example as far as a lot of grinding in that one. Like the
Oh
whole
yeah, there's people who go off and just kill boars in the woods for hours, and even like with Oblivion, like the precursor to Skyrim. There, I heard stories of people who would rubber band the controller, so they're just walking against a wall, but it would still, because they were walking, the more you walk, the more your agility would increase, and they'd sit all day, and then after, or they would sneak down, and they would just put the person in a sneak against a wall and just have them sneak continuously in like a safe spot that they knew they were hidden, so they were constantly sneaking, and they just let it run all day. And then by the end of the day, they were like a master at sneaking, and then they could just walk around and sneak everywhere. Oh.
yeah, man, that'll be a
But I
fun.
find
That'll
that
be a
sort of stuff.
fascinating.
It's like it's like the game genie, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's fun, but it does remove some of the game itself. Like part of why you play the game is to improve the characters that you're playing with so they do better in battle. Like that's the game itself. So like if you let just automation increase the quality of your characters, that's like letting a first person shooter aim for you. It's taking away half of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm curious if they keep. What does this cycle look like, and how? Because in 10 more years, like they've been able to, with you, Jeff, based on your nostalgia and your love of it, sell it to you now 4 times. And imagine now, 5 or 10 years from now, especially when it comes time, especially for your kid to get into it, if he's interested in that type of thing, they re-release it, or it's another chapter, or it's whatever. Like it's in VR now. It's virtual reality version of Final
Oh,
Fantasy.
that would be wicked.
Right? I already sold you. I just sold you a copy in the future. Send $29.99, please. So you got to wonder like how many times they'll kind of turn that crank and how many times they can get you, and especially you can do it in kind of the guise of for your kid as well. Like in 10 years, it's like, well, geez, Billy, you gotta play this. Like this is one of the best games ever. Let's purchase this together. It's
Yeah,
just an,
it's going back to the nostalgia factor, right? Like I had great memories. Like that, I saved up so much money to get a PlayStation and that game. Like it took me forever, and I saw the commercials on TV back when there's commercials, and it just got me amped to do the next. Like it was total next gen, right? You went from little sprites to full, well, not full 3D, but 3D characters in a 2D world, but amazing. So I have great memories. It's just going to sell me on that all the time. As long, I do have a budget. I'm not going to spend $60 on a remaster of it, but I will spend 10, which
good.
is then times 4, I guess. So
There's probably some limits too. I mean, so news did come out with the new version that it's going to be episodic, or there's rumors it's going to be episodic. I don't think it was confirmed that it's going to be. And if it is, so imagine that it's episodic, and every episode costs $30, and they're spaced out like by 8 months. And like at that point, all of a sudden, like as much nostalgia as you might have, it's like
that's
that's
when I put on the brakes. Yeah, I can't because I want the complete game.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I do want like a day one version, I've never bought a day one version in my life, and that would be the game to do it. I won't buy a day one version if it's just like the first chapter or the first disc. I need a complete story, like a complete book. Because Square is like notorious for taking, its bloody time with everything. I could die a old man before I see the end of that thing, so I'm not.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
it's
they'll
not,
probably end up releasing Half-Life 3 before they end up
Yeah,
releasing.
exactly. Not gonna
yeah,
happen.
that's not really in tune with how um, I think this rabid fan base would play this game. I mean, it's like imagine if like Fallout 4 was episodic. Like I'm seeing photos of. I didn't mention I actually got a little bit discouraged with Fallout because the weight of how big the thing is and how little of chunk like I've managed to bother taking out. Because I've seen screenshots and there's like apparently aliens and there's like lava and there's just like all this kooky stuff. I haven't seen anything like this. Like I'm still
There's
dealing
so
with like
much stuff as soon as you leave Sanctuary and stop building chairs. Like there's so many there.
old ladies need chairs and they need drugs and I'm just the good Samaritan to do it. Damn it! Like we've been through this. But
Honestly, like there's I was in a found a hospital full of super mutants. I found some dude's secret recipe. I gotta find out who wants it. I don't know why I even have it. I found a crashed airplane. You gotta. It's a game that's great for wandering, um, and that's how you find all. That's the discovering these things. Not as much seeing like the screenshots and being like, oh, I got something else to put on the checklist. It's like being kind of what's over the horizon. It's a cat with a laser pointer kind of thing. Um, and just kind of going all over the map. And I think that's where Fallout shines the most. Is just the sheer creating your own story, like with Skyrim as well, where it's all about like these random encounters and finding some bizarro dungeon, and you go in and you're like, yeah, the dungeon was filled with guys named Gary for some reason. I don't know why. Um,
Let's
Actually,
say
a
the
level in one of the previous Fallouts, there's an entire vault full of guys named Gary, and that was all they would say is Gary. Ever.
and never an
And
explanation. Just it was
it was a
just the Gary
cloning
Vault.
experiment gone wrong, and it was absolutely hilarious.
That's amazing.
Gary,
The
Gary.
I'll say what is kind of interesting. One of the just as a quick, I don't want to drop the nostalgia thing because there's a lot of meat to that, but the
Oh yeah.
quick quick sidebar to it, and actually I'll bring it back to Fallout. But yeah, so Fallout had been. I felt the weight of it, just like this is so huge, there's so much to do, and there's something about like there's an end to this, but I have to work so much to get to that. I'm so far behind in it. Where actually I ended up going back to Elite Dangerous, the space flying sim, because there
That's
is no,
so much easier.
but there's no end to it. I'm not supposed to beat that game.
But
Like
you're not really supposed to beat Fallout. You don't beat
there's like a I don't know. There's just something. There's something more about the exploration, and there's something more calming and quiet about the vastness of space and how I was never going. There's no end. You're just floating around. You're just in space.
That's
I'm gonna pick up
Fallout.
some. Shh. I'm gonna pick up some cargo. I'm gonna go over
Trevor's
here
version
and
of
get
a
some
bath.
pirates.
It's like a hot bath.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It was just I was that was the mood I was in. It was like with everything else, with a bit of a stressful week. It's like just gonna float around in space for a little while. Man, don't even worry about it. Take it
Can't
easy.
hear anything. Can't hear baby scream. It's
Yeah.
wonderful.
In space, you can't hear your baby scream. But
Uh,
yeah, I know it's a bit of a weird one because yeah, 'cause at least with Fallout, you're progressing, you're achieving. You do get benefit. There's a lot of benefit to that exploring, and I had
Definitely.
played it since for sure, but there's something about that. Yeah, just being like lost in the calm vastness of space. It was like, yeah, that's it was therapeutic ultimately. But
My
let's
most is I would like to find asteroid fields and just like
yeah, man,
around them.
that's in
That's
this
it.
game. I should show that to
Oh
you.
yeah. Oh no,
Y-
I've played lots of space sims. Elite Dangerous is on my list, but Elite Dangerous is a lot of hours. I don't
Yeah,
have hours. I don't have hours.
I hear that. So now the so
At least not
Fallout.
more. Like I have good ones so far, but as you said, like it's the same reason why you're not picking up Just Cause. Like your dance card's full. You only got so
Oh
many hours
man,
in a week dedicated to it.
I don't think I've any time for any of this, frankly.
No.
This is pushing it. But Fallout, like Gavin, you've been into that series ages.
Yeah.
Like, what's the first Fallout game? And let's go that they proceed to release Fallout 5, and it's amazing. Also,
Yeah.
let's put that one there. Time, your kids in the game. Where do you start? What Fallout do they first play? Especially with Fallout,
Um.
and I'll put this to you, like, 'cause especially Fallout 3 was a real jump compared to the first two.
Yeah. I would actually. Um. Well, they would be at an age, anyways. They'd have to be pretty mature because even the first ones are pretty gory.
It's like, well, he just turned 6. I think it's time.
I think I would actually start them off on the first one
Wow, really?
because the first one's a relatively quick play and the animations in it hold up. I played it maybe 5 years ago again for like that's another one that I've purchased a few different times. Um, just like very like a digital copy versus a. I still have my disc kicking around somewhere. Um, but yeah, original Fallout 1, like that was just the story was really cool and the exploration was great. The music was really engrossing. Like the environments just felt really good. Um, and there was just kind of something survivalist about it that's kind of been lost in the newer ones. Everything had consequences. Everything had weight. Uh, Ammunition was heavy, so like you could only carry so much. Different ammunition types would do different effects, so you'd have to decide whether to reload your gun with hollow points or armor piercing, depending on what you're fighting. Uh, it was really engrossing and very deep compared to the newer ones, which are a little bit less deep but more entertaining, I guess is a way of putting it. They're more stylized, they're more entertaining, but
More
those
Michael
factors
Bay-ish.
a little bit, yeah. They got a little push of
Careful.
content.
Okay, so let's role play for a second, and I'm your kid. But Daddy, this is boring. This is a stupid game.
This has reading in it.
Yeah, I would go. All right, fine. We'll play Rocket League.
Yeah. That's gonna be the hard part though, right? Like all those like nostalgia type games, like the games nowadays are in depth. They have a lot of things to it, like with Fallout 4, right? There's a lot of things to do. There's no, shortage of that in the older games. It's just there's a lot more reading versus
Yeah,
well, Fallout does have a lot of reading, but everything is
Even
text.
in the system, like don't let's not
and also
we
like
were
there's. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah. I was gonna say like, and we suffered through it, but ultimately like the intuitiveness of the UIs and menus, and even just the
Yeah,
systems, like in the explanation of the systems, so you could actually get a lot out of it, have vastly improved. I mean, you go back to some of those old systems and some of those menus, and it is just garbage. Like it's really
Yeah.
gross the way they used to do those things, which I think we kind of forget because we cut our teeth on it, so we're used to pretty
Mhm.
bad. But for somebody who's now benefiting from all of those years of experience and improvement to go back to systems and UIs where it's like, how the heck do you do any of this? Like, this is so confusing.
true.
Yeah, they can be
Right.
pretty daunting, but like there are some games that are fairly clean and fairly straightforward. Like Fallout, the original Fallout, its UI was actually not that bad compared to something like System Shock, or because it was a 2D game, it really lent itself well to just being well designed. And the reading factor in it, like some of the funniest writing um, I've ever read in a video game, like it was just super awesome. And it wasn't nearly as text heavy as something like, let's say, the original Wasteland, which is just like you
Oh
might as well
yeah,
get in and
holy.
choose your own adventure. But like I think that's the thing too is we have to remember as parents that our kids aren't always going to like the things we like. It's you know my daughter might
They
not
should.
like dark chocolate. She might take after her mom and prefer more of like a milk chocolate. Oh well, doesn't
Wait,
matter.
you mentioned another nostalgia one is System Shock, right? They announced the third one.
Yes,
I was like, oh, you got me
yes,
on that one too.
yeah.
I never played those ones,
That's
but
exactly.
I can understand. I've heard so much great stuff about it. I'd be curious to see an updated version. I'm kind of curious where it stops. Like, I wonder if there's enough. Like, they redid Tomb Raider. There's another System Shock, Deus Ex. Sorry,
Yeah,
I always pronounced it Deus Ex until I heard Deus Ex.
yeah.
Dude.
Deus
Well, it's
Ex.
based off that whole Deus Ex Machina, the machine of God,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
like a Latin
But
thing.
I mean, Deus Ex and just Final Fantasy like multiple remakes now. Is it Shenmue? Sorry, Shenmue
Yeah,
3.
that Kickstarter.
That's
Yeah,
like
it's
an
just like
extension. Well, yeah. Nostalgia still.
so you gotta
Well,
wonder
that's
when
the
it
thing too
ends. Like it's a bit
is
of a feels like it's a bit of a machine sometimes. Like sorry,
well, it's
man,
not
heck,
just in video
Psychonauts
games.
2. Psychonauts 2 was
Yeah,
just announced this week as a
Yeah.
Kickstarter.
that's the problem right now. Is like everybody who's making stuff, a good portion of them are
Sorry.
super nostalgic about the stuff that they grew up, and rather than just letting it influence their creativity, like for example, a really good example actually of nostalgia influencing new creation is Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. Because that was 80s VHS
It was
nostalgia
great. It
incarnate.
was so
It was
great.
fantastic,
It was
but it was
great.
original. It was an
Yeah,
original
yeah.
but it was everything I loved about the 80s,
It was
which is
amazing.
laser, chrome, lightning, and
The
monsters.
music.
Oh,
It's like an old 80s like action film.
the
I loved it.
one-liners, the neon, the grids. Oh, and but that was the thing, it was nostalgia, but digested into something new. One of the hangups that we're having right now, both in film, like there's a new Point Break coming out. We didn't need that.
Oh yeah.
It's you can take the nostalgia and the excitement of that past property, and you can do something new with it, even if it's with the property. The Mad Max that came out this year, that was a fantastic film, and it did play to the nostalgia of the previous Mad Max movies, but it was not a remake. It was a new chapter. The thing I have about remakes is that I only have so much time to enjoy new entertainment. I'd like to explore new stories, um, compared to something more along the lines of like exploring an old story but a new chapter in it, like with Psychonauts. At least that's a new chapter. It's not just, oh, we're gonna do an HD re-release. It's like, well, that's okay.
Yeah. I
It
don't like
it
those.
looked fine. We don't need to do that.
The worst
Um,
one I've seen of the like the HD remake is Beyond Two Souls.
mm,
Because like that was
HD
amazing on the
Smith.
PS. Yeah, it was amazing on the PS3, and then PS4 is like, okay, we made it less jaggy in some areas.
In
Great.
a couple areas. Well, hold on. I'll challenge you guys on this one because there was the PS4 remake of Last of Us, was it?
Yes. Yeah.
Now, would you say that same thing about that? Because I've come to understand a lot of people were super jazzed about it being on PS4.
60 frames, I think, did it for, well, at least
Mm.
me just having it, but I got it for like $5. I wouldn't pay full price because I did own it, but the load times are faster, and it's 60 frames a second.
And it's for something like that, like it was my first time playing it, so I appreciated at least them having a level up in, like, it's a new console, let's take advantage of the horsepower and just re-export some stuff and do a build of the game that's, specific to the hardware that it's going to be presented on. I think that's worthwhile, especially launching a new console. But there's other games where it's like, I don't know if I'm really going to go and like Dishonored. Um, as much as I would like to, I never got a chance to actually finish it on the Xbox 360, and I'd like to finish the game because it was a cool story. And there was a point in time where I was like, ooh, should I buy it for the PS4 and replay that first part in the remastered version and then continue on and finish the game, or do I just load up the 360 version? And the jump in fidelity between those two, it's just not quite enough for not just the cost of the game, because it's not that expensive, but the cost of time to catch up to where I
Yeah.
was in previously. Is like, or do I just load the save of the version I have because all that work is already done? And yeah,
Yeah.
it's difficult. It's like you
And they
get the remastered thing, spend the money, and then the time to re-experience it, or do you just say, I'm good. I'm good.
I do find that they're doing remasters with their new audience too. So a lot of people did switch from like Xbox to PS4 or vice versa. So like God of War 3,
Yeah,
it
that came
looks
out.
great on PS3. It
Yeah,
looks a little bit better on PS4. Like I don't know what they really improved, but I think they're getting all those people that couldn't play it cashing in, but now
people
they're just
like
going
myself
through.
who played 1 and 2
Yeah.
on the PS2, but didn't get a chance to play 3 because it came out
Right.
on the PS3,
Yeah.
but then have returned back to PlayStation for the next generation. It's like, well, I was the PS2 generation. I missed 3, but now I'm 4. What did I miss? And they're like, oh, there's this Uncharted series, and there's this, and there's this, and there's this. Still waiting on Katamari.
Cha-ching,
It's like
cha-ching.
yeah. So one they keep doing that I hope they keep on doing is there's Shadow of the Colossus.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I missed I had like I was definitely with PlayStation. I totally could have played it, and somehow I just
You never
put
picked
it
that one up?
never put it together. Never could do it. And I didn't own. I had a 360. I didn't have a PS3, so I missed it. Like I think it's available for PS4, Like,
Well, I think what they're doing is they just announced that they're doing PS2 emulation on PS4, and
okay.
Shadow of the Colossus is one of the games that will be emulated on PS4.
Yeah, so that's like, so for as far
So
as
it's
like
not a
back catalog
remastered
would.
release, but they're basically saying we have an emulator that will be able to run these builds on this system, um, which which I like more than like the PlayStation Go. Is
Now,
that it? Now,
PlayStation
that's it.
Now.
I always mess
See,
it
and I
up
guess like, and I think
because
about some ones like that because there's a lot of emptiness from all the I've never played it, so I can't speak directly to it. But any plays of it that I have watched, it did seem that there's a lot of emptiness to it, like
which you
blankness,
would
which
love.
Yeah, your space. It's like
that's
space.
my space.
And then
It's
Har
giants.
har.
space. It's space on horses.
You guys are
Literally space
hilarious.
on
The
horseback.
I think you would actually really enjoy that one
Yeah,
because
I agree.
it's a lot of open area, nothing going on, no other enemies but these 15 guys, and it's a puzzle. Each one is a puzzle. You have to figure out how to kill them. It's different each time. It's
yeah.
not like you go up and slash at them. You
Yeah,
have to figure it out.
it's
But I'm,
like
I'm
the
trying to think about
mechanical
like if you
pull.
were to bring it to your kid and like that emptiness, like haha, there's a difference between the space emptiness and the vastness of it, and what ultimately felt like they need to fill out space, so they just made it like larger, like they made the grass plane larger. Unless you guys actually think it is like legitimately, unless you guys
Oh
actually
yeah.
enjoyed it. I'm trying to,
Oh
I guess I'm trying
totally.
to piece together. Are you making fun of me for
No,
the
no,
space comment,
No,
or
no,
are you
no,
legitimately putting it as a virtue?
it is
no.
a virtue.
Yeah,
It's
Okay, okay.
it's traversing these. You know all those montages in Lord of the Rings where you have the swelling music and you're watching them like go over hilltops and stuff. It's controlling that,
Hmm.
but like at a galloping pace on a horse. And the
yeah.
horse mechanics are so well tuned, it feels like you're riding a horse. Um, they don't break on a dime, so you have to be careful. They won't go into danger, so they'll just be like, no, I'm not going over the cliff, and they'll just go this way. Um, there was something in playing Space Sims. There was that same sort of peaceful catharsis of riding a horse over top of these big open landscapes, and then to have that bookend with essentially a 40-story mechanical bull Rubik's cube that you have to figure out how to solve.
Yeah.
Like that's essentially the game, but that was the awesomeness of it. Is just riding the horse, and there's times too where it's like you're riding the horse to the Colossus, so it's like you're jumping off a horse onto a moving beast, and then holding on for dear life. And the score in that game is one of the best in video games. So it
And
makes those open areas that much better.
and I don't think there's any world map, right? You just hold up your sword and it
You hold
shoots
the
a beam of
sword.
light.
Yeah,
Like the beam of light goes in the general direction and then it gets stronger when you're actually hitting it.
yeah.
So like there's no
It's a
map
compass. Your sword is a
and
compass. You have to
it's
hold it in the
got
sunlight.
it's got a good like Spec Ops the line kind of moment where you kind of come to this realization of what you're doing kind of thing. So
Yeah,
it's a really cool game.
yeah.
Hmm.
Play it now.
So that's the, it's an interesting take on the nostalgia thing where if you want to look at it more in a kinder light as opposed to just cashing in on warm feelings from people's pasts, in many ways given the breadth. I mean, we're sitting here talking about Just Cause 3 and like god, we have no time for this thing. So on the launch of the PS6, we're, let's say, roughly 60 or 70, whatever our age is, and they do the PS6 re-release of Just Cause 3, and we hop on this podcast because I assume it'll last that long, and we're discussing. It's like, man, I finally get a chance to play this game, and so in many ways, it kind of feels like there at least is a barrier to entry as far as the quality of the game. You're not seeing too many garbage things being re-released, reproduced, and playing on that nostalgia bit. So if nothing else, in some ways, at least with these new
Well, it's hard to
generations,
feel nostalgic about garbage, though.
yeah,
Like that's the thing. Is nostalgia is usually associated with something that was good enough to warrant good feels. You know, if you're playing something that's just total hog swallop and you just throw your controller away because of it, like those sort of you know farm carnival shoot games like on like the Wii. the original Wii shovelware. Remember all
God.
that stuff?
Oh, let's not remember it.
HD
Yeah.
Masters. That's ridiculous.
Seriously,
Oh yeah, that's perfect.
none of them made it to the Wii U. None of them got remastered and sent over to the Wii U. Because all of those studios that made those games just for the sake of raking in some money, they cashed in their chips and they dodged a dodge. Like they're not gonna revisit that stuff. Um, so that's the thing is luckily nostalgia is like a litmus test of quality. And if it wasn't good enough for people to have fond memories of, it's not gonna be of a high enough regard for people to want to put. They're not gonna get investment to make a remake. Nobody's gonna give them money to do it because they're like, yeah, nobody liked your stuff, so why would we give you money to remake the
Yeah, and I
Tony
think
Hawk staple peripheral game? Like that didn't work, so we're not doing that again.
I guess when I think about the games I'd want my kid to play, I'd be curious to see if he'd be interested in Final Fantasy, specifically 7, of course. See if you get into that. Super Mario 64,
Oh yeah,
and,
my
and,
kid
and
loves
for,
it.
and for me, I'd definitely want him to do it on the 3DS. I mean, I have it for the original 64, so
The
I'd be kind
Wii.
of curious to see if he like. And yeah, it's also on Wii.
Yeah.
But if he could do the remaster of it on the Nintendo 60 or on the 3DS, and also then the Ocarina of Time, like two games that I hold very dear as far as. And I think I can't really think of many things I'd do to improve them. Like they were just so robust in their experiences.
Hmm.
Well, with
Like,
Mario is great. Like the mechanics of Mario still hold up.
oh, that
Like the
game's
the movement on what they did
Oh,
was insane, and it's
yeah.
still great. And like my
You
5-year-old can control it.
play Mario 3 and just like totally derive full enjoyment off that, or even Super Mario Brothers, or
Yeah.
the yeah. I think one of the games that I would be really curious about my daughter playing would be Monkey Island.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so, and like that's actually a series where I've seen the remastered versions. I'm like, you know what? That's nice because they kept the heart of the hand drawn effects and the hand drawn charm that it had. They just were able to do it with a better computer. Um,
oh geez,
so
you know what game I thought you were talking about? I just caught like Monkey
Monkey
Island, the
Ball.
point and click. I thought you were talking about Ape Escape.
oh
The
no,
ones where the monkeys are running around. And I'm like, yeah, I guess that one's pretty good.
High
no,
standards there.
Jeez.
apparently. Also, the re-release of Grim Fandango. Like I've
Oh
been
yeah, yeah,
loving
yeah.
that game.
I bought
Um,
that. I didn't haven't never played it.
I remember playing it back on the PC and I
Yep.
loved it. Another one that I hope they do at least a re-release. I don't care if it's remastered or not because it looked beautiful first time around. It was stunning. Was Full Throttle.
They are. I think they announced it.
Yeah,
Oh
I've heard
yeah,
of
Really?
that. Yeah,
I think they announced it.
I've been living under a rock.
Yeah, I think they announced it at PSX.
yeah. And then depending on they might do an HD release of Psychonauts based on how some things fall out. And that's of course actually it might maybe I might have twisted that depending on the popularity of the Psychonauts 2. They might do Full Throttle HD.
Okay.
I
I'm not entirely certain that Full Throttle HD was fully announced. We probably
I thought
should
they
fact checks.
mentioned that. I could be wrong, but I thought they mentioned that.
Okay, live on
And
the show, we're doing a Google search. You guys keep going. This
well, it's
happened.
like with Psychonauts 2, the like kind of to touch on it with remasters and re-releasing and everything, great, fine. But with Psychonauts 2, which is kind of the next step, I guess, in the franchise, it looked like it was already kind of being pieced together, and then they're like, "Hey, give us money!" Like we have all these successful games, but give us money. Where
Yeah,
I don't like the crowdfunding part of
Yeah.
it.
yeah. I will.
Okay.
Breaking news: I will confirm that LucasArts' classic Full Throttle is getting remastered on
So
PS4 and PS Vita.
All right.
Vita.
Yeah, the other thing, actually more surprising then is that they would go specific like that. Like they would release it just one platform.
They probably got a deal or funding from
It's probably
Sony.
it's probably temporary too. Honestly, like you wait another 6 months,
30
it probably comes. Apparently,
Especially
they're also doing apparently Day of the Tentacle as well.
Oh, really?
That was a good one.
Wow,
that was
holy
good.
nostalgia everywhere.
Well, it's the
Jeez, yeah.
old LucasArts point and click adventure games. Like the LucasArts point and clicks were just so good. They were
Yeah.
great storytelling.
They should have the original logo. I used to watch that all the time with the little guy.
Weird ass looking gold icon and the
Yeah, caveman type drawing of it.
Yep.
All right, so guys, looks like we have no room for new games, but
Zero.
our kids will get to live our exact gaming experience, but in HD. It's gonna be
Yeah, and they'll do it for a whole 5 minutes before they're like, "This is boring."
This just sucks.
There's not a single Pokemon in any of these games.
Yeah.
Assuming Pokemon is still a thing at that time.
It's still a thing now, so you can't kill that franchise.
Are your kids into Pokemon?
My kids are getting into it, well, my 5-year-old, because of school. So you can't control that once they get in school.
Peer pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Could be worse. Trying to think. It could be Yu-Gi-Oh. So.
Oh, no, yeah, don't mention Yu-Gi-Oh. Pokemon, fine, whatever. I didn't like Yu-Gi-Oh.
So, all right, so we're getting a list of things we can't talk about in the show. One is
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Bubble Guppies. One is Yu-Gi-Oh. This
Michael
list is
Bay.
going. Mike. Oh, he's great. I think that's
Okay.
a good season. I just don't. I don't. I almost don't want to talk about him because it ultimately ends up being negative, and it's just too easy to be negative. I prefer to talk about good stuff, frankly. So, Jem, I think we'll give that a call. Nostalgia coming to a wallet near you.
Ooh, nice.
No, it's gonna be looks like a big year of nostalgia next year. So it's gonna be it'll be funny to watch as we drop one by one to our personal favorites.
I've already got hit by mine, so I'm good.
Yeah. Well, mine's coming
wait,
for the
sorry.
next 10 years.
Doom.
Oh, Doom.
Yeah. When I heard the door open sound effect, I was just like, oh, okay. I don't have to try it. Wow, you're good at that. You do parties?
The
One trick pony.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody, once again for listening. This is New Dad Gaming. We do this once a week as a podcast. If you'd like to drop us a line with a question, something for fatherly advice, or a idea for a show, please do that. You can visit us at our website, newdadgaming.com. Subscribe to our podcast where any fine podcasts are served up. Until next week, my name is Trevor, and I have a 6-month-old.
My name is Gavin. I have a 4-month-old.
My name's Jeff. I have a 2.5 and a 5-year-old, and hopefully going to play Final Fantasy 7 again soon.
You're like booting.
Right now.
You're just like chomping at the bit, like I need this show to end so I can go.
Play it on my watch or something when they release it.
Maybe if I level up fast enough, I can still save Aerith.
Oh, God. DLC, Eris doesn't die.
Can you imagine? Damn, that'd be amazing.
$2.99, save her life. Oh, great. Awesome.
Oh, episodic, and if you pay $30, Aerith doesn't have to die.
They'll do it. Are you kidding me? Microtransactions? Golden Chocobo, here we go.
Yeah, you can grind for 20 hours to get this golden chocobo, or pay $5.
Okay, I put that out in the universe. I take it back. They're not going to do that.
They're gonna watch this and get the
They're not
idea.
going to do it.
Yeah, too bad. They already heard it. It's done.
It's on the
You can charge
internet,
them
so you're done.
Yep.
Wonderful, guys. Have a good week. We'll see you.
You too.
Bye.
See ya.